Yeah, welcome. So we are actually product people. I mean, we talk products day in, day out. We want to make the experience for the user better. We think about new features, stuff like that. But in some companies, we tend to forget to also build a great culture. And I think this is really what some companies are really missing. Because, you know, products, they come and go, but it's a culture that will stay. But first I want to point out, all I'm going to say today may sound profane to you. It's obvious stuff. We should do that. Yeah, it's very obvious. But it's the little things that makes a culture successful. And also, if you take one part of what I'm going to say today and forget about the other parts, so for example, if you're transparent, but you don't respect each other's, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. So it's a combination of the things I'm going to tell you today that makes a culture great. So, like everyone, every speaker, when they want to find out what is the topic I'm going to talk about, what is culture, they look up at Wikipedia. Sure. So I did the same thing. I think, okay, what's the official definition of culture? So I looked it up at Wikipedia, and Wikipedia says something about, or culture is about, the organizational culture is about the language we speak, how we work together, how we identify ourselves together, so stuff like that. And if you read that article, you have that in mind. You think, what is culture? It's a fluffy thing, really. You cannot really touch it. It's just like, what is that? I don't know. So what is culture? And I had the same experience. So what I now want to do is I give some examples of a great culture. So if we think about a great culture, what is a great culture? Yeah, it's a startup culture. We all want to work for a startup, and that's fun to work for a startup. We have fun doing that. So startup culture. So startups, they turn out, so 2 people, 3 people come together. They have this great idea, and they actually work very, very, very hard on this idea to make that happen, work day in, day out, have fun together, really. And the good thing is, if you have an idea, you just make it happen. There's no processes in between. You just do it. It's so fun to work in a culture. And then you attract some passionate people that have the same passion like you, that also want to work for the idea that you have, and they have also fun together. They go out on Friday evening, have fun, and the product grows then. You're not alone, the 50 people, the 5 people shop anymore. You may have 50 people, may 60 people. And what happens then to startups? They cash out. They sell their product to Microsoft or IBM and go on. And they lose their culture. So this is actually not what fostering culture is about. So this talk is actually about how we foster a culture from this great experience that we have, that we are passionate about our company, our product, and turn this into a bigger organization. So, good example, bad example. Destructive culture example. I don't have a whole example here, but I worked for a big company, and actually, so I'm a developer. So, and I found a bug in the embedded software. I was working in the web software team, and I found a bug in the embedded software. So what I did is, of course, I raised an issue. The people from the embedded software team, they saw that and said, that's not important, just down the backlog, we're not doing it right now. So I said, it's important for us here in the web team that you fix that, we want to go on. So I talked to my manager, the manager talked to the manager of the embedded software team, they talked to their guys, and after 1-2 weeks we had a meeting. And I made my point clear, and then we agreed that we will fix the bug, and it took 1 month. I mean, I needed it immediately. I mean, that shows that this is not working. So why are actually companies like that doing it? Why are they doing that? I think it's his fault here. Does anybody know who that is? No? It's Frederick Winslow Taylor, famous for his Taylorism back last century, beginning of last century. He was actually putting workers together on the assembly line. So he had very, very efficient worker. So it was back then industrial. There were they needed some predictable output here from their workers. Actually, Henry Ford once said, "I don't want my workers to think. They shouldn't think. They should just come to work at 8, leave again at 5, and put together the television or whatever they were building." So who was thinking then? I mean, there must be some people that put together the assembly line, tell the people what to do. So who should think then? It was the managers. They invented these managers. That were the people that were supposed to think. So, and I think we still have that in companies. Still, it's coming from this, from 100 years ago, but we still have that we want to manage all the small stuff. We want to have a predictable output. We don't want some companies don't want their people to think, but actually, times have changed nowadays. Times have changed, and actually also work has changed. We're not anymore these people on the assembly line putting stuff together. We are knowledge workers. We want to see our stuff come to life because also people have changed. We want to see some stuff. We want to be incredible. We want to do something. I want to see our ideas come to life. So companies, I think they change. They change, but it's a little bit slow change right now. Anyway, so to give another example, in the past, we were a little bit more working like Fred Flintstone. 5 o'clock, horn blows, yabba dabba doo, home to Wilma, and then have some time with the family. I think this was the past, and now it's actually more like we're working like the Incredibles. Hey, there's an email, I have to jump on it. It's 9 o'clock in the evening. Who cares? I mean, really. So let's do that. I really want to make a difference here. I work whenever I want, wherever I want. And I'm happy to work for such a company. My name is Sven. I'm the Atlassian brand evangelist and culture evangelist. We are a bunch of fun guys at Atlassian. You may have seen that the last 2 days. And this is a picture from our Halloween party, so we don't dress up like this all the time. And coincidentally, you see Scott Farquhar here wearing a Fred Flintstone costume. I don't know. It has nothing to do with Atlassian, then, I mean, with the example I gave before. So let's start. So first, I want to a little bit talk about innovation. So if we talk about innovation, it's like this: innovate or die. I mean, we need to put innovation in our products. Otherwise, we will maybe, if we have a great product, it will live on for the next 3-5 years maybe. But we need to put innovation in our product. So what companies do is say, hey, guys, go and innovate. Do some innovative stuff. That doesn't really work. So what companies do is, hey, I give you $500 for if you have a great idea. And then there's the idea committee that looks at the ideas and says, this is a good idea, this is a bad idea. You have 5. It doesn't motivate me to bring up my idea and then I have to go through the committee, and that doesn't really motivate me. So that's not working. But how do you actually motivate these bunch of developers here to do some awesome stuff, to do some innovation? I think the key is you just should give them time. Give them time to try actually their own ideas. This is important. This is really important. And we're doing that at Atlassian. We give people time to try their own ideas. And you may have heard that. It's called Atlassian Ship It Days, and there's a Ship It Live this afternoon. So check it out. And so what is Ship It Days about? It's a 24-hour hackathon. So we do that actually every quarter. The whole company comes together. It's finance do a Ship It Day. So everyone at Atlassian does a Ship It Day if they want. So the first we start on with some brainstorming, have some ideas, maybe form some teams around ideas. If you don't have a good idea, you can join a team. The that easy. So, and then we are doing the 24-hour hackathon. So 24-hour we are hacking stuff together. And the important thing is at the end, we have to ship something and show it to the rest of the Atlassians. And that's the point. You see really your idea come to life and everyone is applauding, saying, hey, that's good, and you're feeling so good that you had this idea, you made it, and everybody saw it and recognized your good idea. So if you have been to the collaboration keynote this morning, we announced the project planning, the roadmap planning macro. And this is actually from a ship day. So this idea came from a ship day. We tried it out. We thought, oh, that's great, and we turned it into an add-on for Confluence that you can use. So what do we get out of a ship day? We get a working prototype. That's good. So we have working prototypes, but the important stuff is here that we have some happy people, happy developers, because that's really motivates me to see my stuff. It's really motivates me. That's actually the reason why I became a developer. I wanted to create stuff. And that's so good in software business that we can just create stuff on our own and ship it very, very fast. So, and some companies have actually the idea that they have this innovation teams that do the innovation. That's a stupid idea. This is innovation for the masses, really. Because think about that. Everyone can have a good idea. Everyone in the company can have a good idea. You just should give them time to try the idea. So ideas can happen to anyone, anytime. I have my best ideas under the shower or during workout. This is where it's happening. But you should just give your employees the possibility, or your team the possibility, to let the idea grow and see if it's really worth it developing it. Okay, good. Happy. Yeah, so culture of happiness. So what are companies doing to make their employees happy? They organize these fun days with coworkers where you go out and have fun together, which is great. So this is our family and friends day from Atlassian. We had Carnival, the theme Carnival. Then we are also, of course, doing some team building, where we go river rafting or climbing together. And we have also the end of fiscal year parties, very, very famous at Atlassian. This year was themed games of code. We have a lot of fun with coworkers. And the good thing is, what you do with these events, you get to know the employees from a different side. You get to know your teammates from a different side. You talk personal, what's private, what's happening right now. So you learn a little bit about, you build actually relationship, and you learn, especially in these team building events, the strengths and weaknesses of your team, and learn how to, and you can use that day in your daily work. But so what are we doing as software developers? We're agile developers. We're sprinting. We're doing sprints. So, and if you do it right, at the end of a sprint, we're doing a retrospective. And we're looking back and said, hey, what worked, what didn't work, what should we improve in the next sprint? And then on to the next sprint. And look back and on to the next sprint. And we're sprinting and sprinting and sprinting. I think sometimes we tend to forget to stop and look back what we have done. Actually, my favorite movie in the 80s, I've seen that 30, 40 times when I was young, was Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And Ferris is saying an important sentence here. He says, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. And this is what we should do. We should stop and look back. Hey, what did we achieve? Great. We have done this cool feature, so let's celebrate it. Let's celebrate the team wins here, what we achieved. That's very important. So, for example, you could organize a release party. That's what we're doing. We're having, for each release, each product, we're going out and having a big party to celebrate our team wins. Or do an offsite. But some companies, maybe you don't get time for that or money for that. So it's also sometimes just baking a cake or something and invite the stakeholders, come together, talk about what you achieved, and go on to the next journey. For software teams, this is great. I mean, it's getting a little bit more tricky in the times of continuous delivery. But also if you have a big feature, a new design or something, launch it or turn a dark feature or a hidden feature into a visible feature for your customers. Just stop and celebrate. But we are not just software developers at Atlassian, we also have service teams at Atlassian. And our service teams, they have these values. So they came up with the service values and said, okay, these are our cultural values here. That's what we make the customer awesome. You can read it. But over time, so you can stick this on the wall and read that every day and get reminded of your values. But over time, well, they get a little bit blurry. I mean, you read that, yeah, okay, good, on to the next support case, blah, blah, blah. But also for our service team, it's important to stop and celebrate. And they are doing that. They are stopping and celebrating their cultural rock stars. So people that stood up for the cultural values, that went over and beyond. And they take their time, half an hour, write a piece of poem for the guys that went over and beyond. Or also great, they're doing a song. So looks like that here.
Song is for you. Let's talk about these 6 weeks and what we've been through. Oh, Rick, how much whiskey can you drink? Night and the night will last in the night. And still get hella shit done.
Yeah, I mean, this is great, and you feel happy afterwards. See, oh yeah, great. So it's important. These stopping and looking back, that helps us to make us focus, and it makes us happier. So focus on our cultural values. That's very important. So this is important thing. Just stop and do that. So how happy are you? Quite happy? Yeah? Good. What about your team? How happy is your team? Do you know that? I don't know. Maybe they say, yeah, we're happy. I don't know if this is true. But how do we measure happiness? So companies are doing stuff like this. They're doing the surveys. So you can fill out, I'm quite happy, I want to, this sucks, and and you get very, very slow feedback. Maybe you're doing that once a year, or maybe every half year if you're good, but this sucks and slow. So what we did actually as a Ship It Day project, we developed this iPad app. We call it the Mood app, and they are iPads at every exit at Atlassian, and you can say, oh, what's your mood today? And say, yeah, good, happy, there was a bad day. And then of course, we're measuring that. So we can see the trends going up and down. Before a big release, maybe it goes down. We have to get Jira out of the door, so, but afterwards going up again. There was a big company party, so we measure the results, and we adopt it. So this would be the one today, I guess, after our summit bash. How do you feel today? And you can download that. The slides will be available online, so you don't have to write that down. But you can download the app and try it out for yourself. So, but we are not the only one that asking their employees, how happy are you? It was also Spotify is doing that, and they asked the employees, and the employees said, oh, 91% of us, we are happy. Well, which is a good number. I mean, 91% are happy. That's a really great number. But what Spotify did, they wanted to know what was the rest 9%. Why are they not happy? So they actually talked to the unhappy people and found some bits what they could change. And then they changed it and got 94% happy. Cool, even better. The rest 6%, you cannot make everyone happy, but 94% is better than 91%. But it's not just about the happy times. So let's talk about the not so happy times. Does anyone know what that is? It's pretty bad. We had that for our Jira Studio and our Jira Studio instances, it's a hard disk crash. So we lost data. We lost the data of our customers, which was pretty serious. And so, but this, yeah, sorry, I'm a little bit out. So we lost the data, and of course we had a company that were running this on their servers. We didn't run it on our own. So, and we said, okay, do backups all the time. We had contracts with them to do backups, and they were doing backups. The backups were just on the same hard disk. So that was pretty serious. So, but what we did is actually we were sharing the pain. So first we took this very seriously. We said, okay, good. This is a real serious problem here. Stop. So the Jira team, all Jira teams were stopping developing new features. They were stopping and trying to help the customers to get up to speed again. So installing new instances, we wrote importers. So you get this notification emails from Jira. We wrote importers that you import the notification emails, and it was generating issues out of it. So we took that very seriously. We worked hard on it. Every team at Atlassian took that. The management team were talking to the companies. I mean, it was just a small portion of our customers that were running that, but still, and we didn't finger point. Do not finger pointing. It doesn't help to say, it's not our problem. It's their problem. The legal department can figure that out. We had contract that they are not allowed to do that, whatever. And or it's a performance team's problem or whatever. Don't finger point. Take it seriously and help to make it better. And also very important, inform and update the whole company. What's going on? I mean, I had that in the past that the manager was saying, okay, we have a pretty big incident here, blah, 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 and I didn't hear anything anymore from it. So after 2 months, I thought, okay, must be fixed. And then I heard after half a year, it's still pretty bad. So inform and update the whole company that I can go then to, I went to, so we sent also the hard disk to Norway there were some specialists that could maybe fix it. So, and I was meeting customers and say, what's happening? And I could say, okay, we're trying everything here. We're sending hard disks to Norway. So even though I wasn't really deep involved in that. Sharing the pain, we win as a team and we lose as a team. That's just it. But the good thing is if you go through this crisis together and come up again, it really makes us stronger. It makes us a stronger team. So this is really team building here. Okay, balance your passion. Why do we code? So for me, I'm coding because creating software makes me happy. I create stuff. I can see my stuff come to life. So what do we need for creating great software? So let's have a look at that. Ask the Swedish chef. The ingredients for great software. First, I need the best tools I can buy. Then I want to have support from my management. If they are not allowed to take some programmers out of my project, I want support from the management. Then I can create great projects. Of course, we're talking about culture here, so we need a culture of respect and trust each other. And then we need this great Swedish chef here. We need some passionate developers. Well, if you know the Swedish chef from the Muppets, maybe you will add some talent to it. So, talent, passionate developers. So these are my ingredients for great software. Well, there's missing something. Creating stuff makes me happy, but I want to create something for my customers. I want to create great software for my customers. And sometimes we're talking about web frameworks and which build system should we use, Maven or Gradle or whatever. We tend to forget that we are creating software for our customers. So don't forget your customers. And we have pretty cool customers. I mean, 2,100 here at Atlassian Summit, great. And look at Emmer. Emmer is also a great customer of ours. So Emmer just has started with Confluence, and she's pretty new to our product suite. So when we develop a feature, we think about Emmer and say, okay, Emmer should be able to use that too. Not just the power customers, Emmer should use that too. And then we have customers like William. And William, he loves our product. He's an IT admin, he loves our product, runs that for the last 5 years, knows every keyboard shortcut. So he's really a power user of our products. But you know what? these customer doesn't exist. They are fake. We made them up. Because we use personas. When we develop software, we think about, okay, good, what will Emma think about this feature? But not only what will Emma think, will William think, what would William think about the feature? To put that together and create great features that Emma wants to use and that William wants to use. So back to Emma, and we have these cards that we get to know Emma a little bit better, that we understand Emma, the background of Emma, so what's she doing, what software does she use, so we understand Emma better. So our developers can understand Emma. And you can't really escape from these, so we stick them on the toilets too, so you get reminded everywhere at Atlassian about our personas. And then people come up with new personas all the time, like Vernon, the worst. But the cool thing is, so we have this actors. I mean, they are actors. We take pictures of them, these personas. They don't really exist. And once they were shooting new pictures of Emma, and Emma was, of course, in our office. And then there was a developer saying, "Oh, great, there's Emma. Let's ask Emma how she will use the new feature." And said, "Emma, she's just a persona. Come on, she's not a real customer." Anyway, so what I want to say is be passionate about your software. Be passionate about what you're building. I mean, you spend 8 hours a day on it, so be passionate about that. And at the end, your product will look like this. Woo! Isn't it nice? Nice, shiny product. This is your product. And then you got to ask, okay, good, as a developer, you have this small bug. Can you just fix that small bug for me? And you say, okay, good, yeah, let me just open my IDE and look at the code. And you open the code, and it looks like this on inside. Ooh, pretty bad, pretty bad. Maybe you have your customer in mind all the time, but you tend to forget your engineering values. So we have pretty strong engineering values. I just want to introduce a few of that. So if you look at this here, I've seen that in every project. So you give it a Boolean and it returns a Boolean. Totally stupid waste of code. But I've seen that in every project. Don't write crappy code here. I mean, this is just a small example, but don't write crappy code. And I know some people says, yeah, you can do that in 2 days. I know that, and say, yeah, I could do that in 2 days, but I want to do it properly, so it will take 5 days. And say, do it in 2 days. Say no. Say no if this will harm your code. Have the stand to say no, and don't write crappy code. This is one of our engineering values. Some other code here. This here. Well, if you know, it's okay code, it's working. But if you use, for example, Java 8, the new Java Stream API, your code should look like this. Everyone can read that much better. So yeah, do that, and try to find always better ways to write your code. I have to put that slide in here because this just recently happened. I'm from Germany, so Germany, Brazil. But what you see here, that's the scoreboard, and the scorer they didn't fit on the scoreboard. So a scoreboard would be a solution, but for television that's too. So always try to find better ways. That's another engineering values from ours. So, but sometimes you have very great people in your team, and they love to discuss things, and they're very passionate about that. But the discussion goes on and off, and I call them prima donnas. And prima donnas are great programmers, are really great programmers, but they don't focus. So they don't focus on the product that much. They focus on the way and on the technology, but they are really good. You just have to bring them to the right direction. So if you have a discussion here around the color scheme, says yes, that's a good color scheme. No, and so these were about our design guidelines. This color code was not in our design guidelines, so they were discussing, yeah, it's an exception. No, it's not. Blah 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 blah. And the discussion goes on and on and on. I would say turn your passion into products. That's also very. I mean, we want to discuss. We want to have cool software. But once we should say, okay, good. Turn now your passion into products. It's an endless discussion. I've seen that in a lot of projects. My web framework.init, I've written my own web framework because there's no web framework out there. There are a lot of web frameworks nowadays, and still happen in the year 2014. So, and we all know that this will be done in 2015. Or design a method for, or design your web interface for 1,000 concurrent users, but you actually know that just 5 will use that software concurrently. So balance always your architecture with getting things done. The important thing here, these are just a few engineering values from Atlassian, but the important thing here is write your engineering values down. So you can refer to them later and say, okay, good. End of discussion here. We have to turn our passion into the product and not into the discussion. So that's very important. So on one hand, be passionate about your code, your product that you build, and don't tend to forget your customer. Being one team. One team, very, very important. So team size, 12. Any guess what that number means? Well, 12 is actually the natural team size. So when we were back in the Stone Age hunting the mammoth, we were 12 people around. So 10 to 12 people doing that. So that's obviously a natural team size. Next number, 150. Any guesses here? 150 is, yeah, it's Dunbar's number. And Dunbar's number is telling you how many social relationships you can maintain. So stable relationships you can maintain. So if company grows above this, I mean, this is just 150, 200, somewhere in between there. If you grow over 150 people, it gets anonymous workplaces. Well, it's not like this, but what happens is you build silos. So you have silos inside your organization. You don't know everyone. Well, you have on one hand the legal department, on the other hand the developers. They don't know each other, but they are always fighting. Can I use this open source code? And the legal open source library, and the legal department says, no, you cannot. And so you don't understand me. You're stupid. No, you're stupid. You know, that's a typical silo. So we need to bring these people together, bring them together. So, and if you write emails forth and back like this, you don't have that in mind from the legal department or from the development department. It looks like that. But if you put a face to the people, say, oh, he doesn't really look, the legal guy, he doesn't really look that awful. He looks pretty nice. He's smiling, and maybe he's a good guy. Maybe I can chat with him. So, but we're going further. So we actually write introductory blog posts. This is Benjamin, not from our legal department, from our Sydney office, and we have to introduce ourselves the first week when we start at Atlassian. We do an introductory blog post, write about some personal stuff, and the cool thing with Confluence is then that we can comment on that, and they're running a lot of comments, so you can start really conversations with the new guys saying, hey, we saw you playing soccer, so we have a soccer team here, so on Thursday we're meeting, and we can play soccer together. So this is, to onboard people, this is great. It's about transparency. And transparency is, we share everything. We share our wins, our fails, our decisions, and we have questions. So for example, our wins, we recently won the design award. So we're sharing that and say, oh, great, the design team, big goal here. They won a design award, great. Also our fails. So there was a blog post about why 20%, we're doing 20% time, like Google. And there was a blog post, so why is it broken? But the important stuff here is, and how can we fix that? How can we make that better? Just not ranting on stuff, but also trying to make it better. Or if we have some discussions here, someone proposed this technical refactoring here, and then we can discuss this and change that, and at the end we have an agreement. So we're collaborating on that. Or if we have a question for the whole company, like what can we do to stop culture of coming sick to work, and we're discussing that directly. So everyone is involved. It's very transparent processes. And if we talk about transparency, you should know your transparency enemies. So who are your transparency enemies? It is the telephone. Yeah, if we talk to another guy on the telephone, nobody other can follow up on that. Emails, we know emails are somewhere. I mean, emails are maybe transparent. We can forward them and whatever, but there's so much information buried somewhere in my inbox. So that's transparency enemy. Or the water cooler. So how can we come over our transparency enemies? We use actually chat very, very heavily, and you heard that here at Atlassian Summit. We use chat very, very heavily, and for every team, there's a HIP chat room. So for every team has its own chat room that we know what's going on. The good thing with HIP chat is that it keeps the history, so if I'm in a meeting for an hour or something, I can keep up. I can come back and keep up what's been discussed. So that's pretty cool. And we have some good integrations, so we connect with our system. If a build fails, we can see that in a HIP chat room. If somebody deploys something with Puppet, we can see that, or with Bamboo, we can see that in a HIP chat room. So we have pretty good integrations here. It actually connects the whole company. So I can go and connect everyone. So everyone is in HIP chat, so I can just write a message, and it has actually tremendously impact on our emails, writing emails. And we have these cross-team chat rooms. For example, here, this is our football in terms of your European football, so for you, soccer chat room. And then we are discussing when should we meet, when is the next game, and also some soccer things here from the last World Cup. We're discussing also that here, because transparency actually brings people together. It brings people together, and it brings also remote people. I'm working remote from Germany, and it brings remote people with office people together, because it also helps us with time zone issues. So if we have an idea, we can discuss that in 24 hours around the world without being in one meeting. And it brings hierarchies down. So I can comment on a blog post from the CFO, and he can comment on my blog post, so no problem with that. Transparency really helps us to also spread the culture. It's very, very important. Culture that scales. Scaling culture, that's a pretty hard thing. So let's have a look at that. 12, I said. 12 was the natural team size. Our team size is around 6 to 8. That's our programmer team size. So this is how some teams are bigger, some teams are smaller, but this is around our team size of our programming teams. And of course, as a programming team, we work with cross-functional teams. So we have designer, QA people in one team together with the programmers. But sometimes you don't need a designer, so the designer goes to another team for the next sprint or the next iteration and work on that. But if there are some design tasks, we have still some talented design people that are coders but have very good design skills, so they can take over. And if we really need a designer, there's also no problem. We can transition them over back, or they can have a discussion. So no problem here. And if your product grows, it's not just one team working on your product. It's of course more teams working on the same product. And some companies tend to do then, okay, great, we have to make teams, so we have the specialists. So we have the JavaScript specialists, so this is our front-end team. Then we have the performance, the back-end specialists, the Java Enterprise experts, so they are our performance teams. And then we have our database experts. Don't do that. That's stupid. That's really stupid to do. Because you get really coordination problems. So a feature runs normally over all groups. And you get coordination problems if you have to coordinate all teams in the same sprint. That's really, really hard to do. And I mean, we don't have a persona that says, oh, I like the database. The database is great. I want to have a better database, a faster database. There's no persona like this. I mean, some teams don't have a customer relation then anymore. So we are not using that. I mean, this is a really trap, because you tend to fall into that very, very fast if you grow. So we are having that here. So we have themed teams. So one team in Confluence that cares about easy start. So people like Emma, how can she start very, very fast? So they have Emma in mind. Of course, they don't forget William, but they have Emma in mind if they create new features for making the onboarding experience with Confluence better. We have also a team that cares about big Confluence instances, so performance things, but also in the administration area, how can we handle 1,000 users or 2,000 users in the administration area? How can we make that experience better? And then we have a team that cares about software developers, so all the Jira integration into Confluence, retrospective blueprints, all this. This is the software team that cares about that. And the teams are totally autonomous. So one team maybe uses tool A and the other uses tool X. If they don't need to interact with the tool, fine. They can use whatever they want. Some teams are doing daily stand-ups. Other teams are meet when it's necessary. Totally fine with us. Teams are autonomous at Atlassian, so we have autonomy. But sometimes we're not working in a bubble. Sometimes you need some support from another team. So it's going like this, hey, I need some support. So what are you going to do? You go, of course, to the team lead for that team, sitting there and say, hey, team lead, we need some support for the next sprint. We need some support for your team. And the team lead says, he's a cool team lead and says, yeah, sure, you can get support, but you have to wait 2 sprints. We have other priorities. What should we do? 3 words. Just do it. Just do it. Try it. Try it yourself. And we call that actually a doomocracy. We have a doomocracy. And the doomocracy at Atlassian is built on autonomy, and we trust that the other team don't fuck things up in our space. But that would be a little bit risky. Maybe they fuck things up. So we not only build it on autonomy and trust, we build it on transparency, also very important. So for example, when we did the page layout, the new page layout, we did it like this. We put up a page on Confluence and say, hey, I know that touches a lot of teams, not just the software teams, but also the onboarding, the easy start teams, and also the enterprise teams. So here's what we'll be planning to do. Let's have some discussion around that, and then we have some discussion around that, fix stuff, that every team is fine with it. Actually, also Josh, he commented on that, and he actually has nothing to do with development, but he has also an opinion. So we're okay with changing other people's code, even though there shouldn't be something like other people's code, should there? I think I say Spotify, for example, calls it internal open space, open source. Sorry, internal open source. So everyone can change everything, but sometimes you're not sure if you introduce a bug or something in other people's code. So we're making sure we're not doing that because we're doing code reviews. We're doing pull requests and invite people. But who should we invite? Who has written the code? Who can say that we don't destroy another function? So we were thinking about that and said, okay, good, we're using Git and we can find out. And we wrote this plugin that's available on the marketplace for Stash. So it also suggests reviewers based on if they have previously changed the file, so they know, or if they are the original author, so they suggest these reviewers. So we pretty much know that these are experts for this part of code. So our Doomocracy, as I said, is built on autonomy, transparency, and trust. And the transparency gives you a lightweight process. It's not a heavyweight process that has to go through all these instances. It's a lightweight process. People look at it and says, okay, I'm fine with that. And actually, the Doomocracy that scales by keeping up the development speed. That's very important. All right. So I've talked about a lot of things here. I've talked about transparency, autonomy, and trust, yada, yada, yada. And if you say that, this is our culture, people say, okay, good, go away, and then they have this fluffy thing in mind again, what the culture is. So we said, okay, good, this one here. Okay, good, great. And the culture actually changes also. I mean, we are not, I joined Atlassian 3.5 years ago, and it has changed a lot. And also the culture changed. Not a lot, but a bit. I can see some shifts here and there, because the culture is alive. It's alive. But if you give your people this and say, remember that's our culture, that's very important, they tend to change the culture. And we want to have more stability in the culture. So we're not saying transparency, we say open company, no bullshit. We are not saying autonomy and trust, we're saying be the change you seek. Be one team, you heard that, play as a team, balance your passion, build with heart and balance, and have the customer in mind, don't the customer. And these are actually our values. And values give stability to our culture. So our values gives our culture stability. I mean, the culture still changes in some directions, but the values gives us stability that we don't do things differently that we don't want to do. So really, and important is also here to remind people, these are our values. You can go around here at Summit, talk to one Atlassian, grab one Atlassian guy and tell me, hey, tell me about your 5 values. And they can tell them. I mean, in which company can you do that? I mean, every company is putting up values and saying, we are transparent. Don't remember transparent. So this is a picture from our San Francisco office. They're hanging up on the ceiling and in the kitchen. You see them every day, and they remind us what are the real values of Atlassian. Great. Wow, 3 minutes left. Good. I got one more thing. Woo! Learn that from Steve Jobs. Okay, there's always one more thing. And I'm not going to show you an Atlassian watch or something. We're not having that. But I just want to say, if a few years ago, Steve Jobs announced Ping. Ping was a social network within iTunes for music, and was really, I think there were some teams really passionate about Ping, working day in, day out, thinking about Ping. But where's Ping now? They removed it again from iTunes. So products really, they come and go. Maybe there's in 2 years a Chinese company building a killer Jira app and it's putting out of the market. Maybe that can happen. I don't know. But I'm pretty much sure that we as Atlassian can build the next big killer thing. Even though it's not Jira, it could be something else. I'm pretty sure it's out. Because products, they come and go, but it's actually the culture that stays at the end. And if you have a great culture with incredible people, they can do a lot of stuff. So that's the message of my talk here. Products come and go, culture stay. Thank you very much. Thanks for your attention.